What up? It's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Canty, and welcome to the In My Defense podcast, where we chop it up about sports, culture, and life the way it was meant to be discussed. You are now rocking with the best, bold takes, thoughtful analysis, and real talk. Nothing personal, but in my defense. And of course, I'm with my frat brother, Quentin Wright McDuffie. What up, bro?
Not much, Brody. Not much. Just chilling, relaxing. I've heard the fans said that my camera and they can't see me, so now y'all can see all the chocolatey right now in this camera. Got something crisp. You can hear my voice. I'm not Barry White like Canty, but I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, but see, the mistake that you made is going with the black chair. See, you know you black as hell, and then you got the black chair with the black background. You just blend, your face blends into the chair. It's like your face and the chair are one, my brother.
Listen, I tried to hit the lights the right way so we all good to go. But don't worry, they gonna see me, they gonna hear me. I'm excited about today's show. I think we gonna hit the ground running today. Some big topics in sports. This was a big sports weekend. Canty had track, had three meet records at World Champions in the 100.
Wow.
We're gonna talk a little bit about that. But big fight night, big fight night. I wanted to hear just on the first whistle. What do you feel about that Terence Crawford Canelo Álvarez fight? How's it been going? Did you watch it? What's going on?
Well, listen, I watched it, but my game plan to watch it was a little bit flawed. So I went to a game night with some friends. Let me say it differently. My wife decided that we were going to a game night with some friends, and so I went uptown to Harlem. We went to their spot to enjoy just playing games, fellowship, and catching up. You know how black folks do, and we were going to have the fight on in addition to that. But what I didn't realize that I was about to get into a fight before the fight. So you know how that thing goes when black folks get together and have arguments, heated disagreements. It was about to go down before Bud Crawford and Canelo Álvarez even threw a punch. I'm just gonna put it out there like that. I had a flaw in my game plan, brother, and let me tell you, never again will I have a sports event that I'm intentional about watching, and I'm going to decide that I'm going to do it at somebody else's spot. I'm just not doing it. I got to have the controlled environment. I got to have my snacks. I got to curate the guest list. I got to have a little bit of control, a little bit to say about that. Because if you don't, things can go off the rails. And on Saturday night, things almost did.
You got pulled up. Listen, it's on Netflix now. Ain't no excuse, Canty. You ain't got to be cheap and not pay the $59.99. You can go straight to Netflix. Stay with the what do they call it? Stay with the moo on.
Come on, man.
The Mel moo.
No, it's not even. It wasn't even like that. You know, I have no problem paying for a championship fight, especially one with Bud Crawford and Canelo Álvarez.
Yes, sir.
Belt unification. Absolutely, I have no problem paying for that fight. But I do have a problem telling my wife no when she want to go out and kick it, especially when she's 6 months pregnant. So you know how that goes. I'm gonna lose that battle every time, 10 times out of 10. So if the wife says she want to get out of the house, knowing she's 6 months pregnant, knowing she carrying my son, guess what? We leaving the damn house.
What Martin used to say? Get the step in. That's what you're going to do. Get the step in. Nah, but when it got calmed down, how did you think about the fight? You know, we seen Terence Crawford make history. And that fight to me was a wash by the 6th round. But what was your depiction of it all?
No, I thought Bud Crawford was in control of the fight the whole time. And you could see around the 3rd round, he was dancing in the ring, he was swagging. And Canelo really didn't have the hand speed to keep up with Bud Crawford. And so from a technical standpoint, he boxed the hell out of him. And we knew coming into this bout, it was going to be boxer versus the brawler. Now, Canelo has a hell of a chin. He's a champion. Nobody is going to disrespect Canelo Álvarez. But I just thought in terms of the matchup, it was a bad look for him. You know, the old adage, styles make fights. Well, the type of fight that they had on Saturday night was always going to be Bud Crawford's style when those two were in the ring. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised by the outcome of it. I was surprised that Canelo didn't do more to throw Bud Crawford off his square, but by and large, I figured that Bud Crawford would get out of there with the win.
100%, 100%. First and foremost, I think when you see lefties fight orthodox boxers, you usually see the headbutts, the clashes. You've seen that only once in this fight, so that was a good thing. We only seen one, and that was in the late round. But I'll tell you.
But the reason why you only saw one is because Bud Crawford is a switch hitter.
Mm-hmm.
But Bud
Mm-hmm.
Crawford can give it to you any way you want it. And that's what makes him special. That's what makes him unique. And I just don't think people fully appreciate how talented this dude is because he's not flashy. He's not walking around with the jewels. He's not stunting. He's not flogging. Like he's just not. He's very workmanlike. He's industrious. And I love that because it gets back to the roots of boxing at its core. It's grimy, it's gutter, it's rugged, it's tough, and Bud Crawford represents all of those things, and he embodies, he embodies the city that he comes from. So I love everything about where Bud Crawford is with his overall game right now, and I think the belt is in really really good hands.
Yeah, and I love the sportsmanship of Canelo and Bud after the fight. I'm learning a little bit about boxing. I didn't know that the tradition is you give the belts back. Bud didn't have to do that in front of everybody, but I think the respect that he had for Canelo Alvarez is why he did that. I've met Canelo in person, and for everybody, I'm not Shaq, I'm not Canty, but he's not either. I'll put it to you that way. Uh, but to see that stature of a person can deliver that much power over his career and and what he's learned thus far, I think if he decides to retire, there is nothing wrong with bowing out now. They're talked about a rematch. Would you want to watch that again?
Oh, I'd absolutely want to watch Rematch because that's good. That's good boxing. I absolutely want to watch it and to see what adjustments Canelo makes because let's not make any mistake about it. You're talking about a Hall of Fame boxer, and the more he sees a particular fighter, the more adept he's going to be, the things that he's going to learn, and so you're wondering if he can figure out something to crack the code to make it a more competitive fight in the rematch. So I'm hoping that those two decide to get it on again, and if so, I can promise you this. I'm gonna watch that fight ringside or from my damn house because
In your house.
I ain't going to nobody else house to watch a fight ever again. It ain't gonna happen.
Don't worry, next time you're gonna have little feet running over you.
Yeah,
That's what's gonna happen the next fight.
well, it's cool, but let me tell you something. Them little people, that's gonna be way past their damn bedtime because the fight didn't kick
Kick
off
off
until
to it.
what 12
Uh,
o'clock at night.
yep, yep.
It's crazy. So I mean, like, yeah, if I got little people, I ain't worried about them. Their asses will be asleep while I'm
Well,
watching the fight.
I tell you one dad to another. Brooke was sitting down next to me watching Canelo and Bud because she boxes a little bit. She trains, so she was watching it.
Hey.
You think it's bedtime, but I tell you on the Saturday they don't remind you real quick who the boss.
So let me ask you a question because you did say Brookie isn't in the boxing. Is
Yes,
she more Canelo or Bud Crawford?
she's more Bud.
Really?
She got the power, but she got the flow, but she's very cerebral. She
Okay.
understands where her power is. She understands how to swing the right way, how to dodge the right way. And then
All
what I
right.
love about her, she naturally learned how to fight southpaw. And then when we took her to training, they taught her how to fight orthodox because she's supposed to fight the orthodox way. So she's learning a little bit of both. So I would say a little bit of Bud, and then how about this? What I love about Bud and what I hope I'm instilling in her and we all do in our kids is I love that Bud got it out the mud. Now, I don't mean to rhyme, but Bud got it out the mud. Shot in the head, drove himself to the hospital. That sounds like some movie stuff. And
Yeah.
ever since then, he
Straight
said,
up.
I've been here for a reason. So I'm happy that we got a chance to see that reason. Jumping up 2 weight classes, seeing that success. I don't know if this is his last fight. I believe he's like 37, 38. I ain't trying to get hit like that, 37, 38. But
Hell nah.
so we
Yeah.
haven't had a big super fight like this in a minute, though, Canty. When the next time you think we'll see something like this?
I don't know. Probably not until those two decide they're gonna have a rematch, man. Just because you don't have the names, you don't have the star power, and I'm questioning now the overall interest in the sport as a whole with the emergence of UFC and, of course, WWE being more prominently featured with ESPN. I'm questioning whether or not the boxing game, the fight game, is going to be what it once was when we were growing up. So it becomes interesting. Like I said, I think the belts are in good hand. I think the sport has a great ambassador in Bud Crawford and, quite frankly, Canelo Álvarez. They got some good fighters out there, but I don't know that there's that bell cow. I don't know that you have those rivalries that are going to generate the type of interest that it once did.
No, I agree. In the emergence of MMA, I think that's what you see.
Yeah.
A lot of people tune into. Like me, I'm a big MMA guy. I love me some Izzy. So Izzy, we gotta get you on the pod one day. One day we gotta get you here. Being able to see these fighters and how they have grown in different disciplines. That's what I love of MMA, the different
Yeah.
disciplines. And Dana, you're not making us all buy into slap boxing. We're not buying into that. So just give that up, brother. Just
They be
give that up,
slapping the
brother.
hell out of each other though.
Yeah, on
I
one.
don't
That's what they do on one.
yeah. I don't know if I can sit there and stand there while somebody getting ready to slap the hell out of me and not duck, not do something. I feel like the counter punch is instinctual. There's no way I'm gonna sit there and let somebody slap the hell out of me.
I mean, we all grow up with the black Southern moms. I've gotten slapped and couldn't counterpunch. You just had to sit there and take it. but
Yeah, but here's
we
the thing: you didn't know it was coming. It was so quick. It was so swift.
oh
You didn't know it was coming. With this situation, you know it's coming. I'm not gonna
yeah.
stand there and let you slap the hell out of me if I know it's coming. That's
No,
just
no.
that's just stupid.
100%. I got to duck. I got to block. I got to do something. I got to do something for
Yeah,
myself.
man, that's wild. That's wild.
Listen, I'm happy we got a chance to talk about boxing, but we know why a lot of listeners have come here for. We wanted to hear the man, the myth, the legend, 99 talk about some football. You got to see Micah Parsons up close and personal last week against the Commanders. Please tell everybody listening and just dissect what you've seen on that field with what I think is the best defense in the NFL.
Well, he's a straight dog, man. And I say this all the time. Micah Parsons has a quarterback like influence on his unit and on the team as a whole. Think about it. We always talk about quarterbacks as the most important position in all the team sports. Why? Because they have the most influence on the overall outcome of their team's game, more so than the coach, more so than any other position player. But with Micah Parsons is a little bit different. And that's why the Green Bay Packers paid him $47 million a year. They gave him quarterback money because he's a force multiplier. And you're seeing that across the Green Bay Packers defense. Guys like Lucas Van Ness and Devontae Wyatt and Edgerrin Cooper and Quay Walker, they're starting to come alive now. Not that they weren't good players before, but they're at a different level because of Micah Parsons' presence. The attention that number one grabs for the Green Bay Packers defense creates a lot of one-on-one situations for everybody else. And that's why that defense held the Washington Commanders to 4 first downs in one half of football. The first half of that game, the Commanders only had 4 total first downs, less than 100 yards of total offense. And what people should know in the NFL, 100 yards of total offense should equal 7 points. So when you got less than 100 yards of total offense in a half of football, that is the defense pitching an absolute shutout. Overall, that defense had 24 quarterback pressures, 12 quarterback hits, 4 quarterback sacks. Micah Parsons had 6 pressures, 3 hits, and a half a sack by himself. The guy is an absolute wrecking ball. And I will say this, the presence of him on that team is reminiscent of when Reggie White came to the Green Bay Packers in the mid-90s. You knew that that team was eventually going to break through with Brett Favre and win a championship. I feel the same way about Jordan Love and these Green Bay Packers.
Well, my question to you is the last couple games they've been able to do some front running. As Jordan would say, there's no fun when the rabbit got the gun. W- What do you think is going to happen when that defense has to play from behind and they play more to Micah Parsons' run defense because now they're trying to maintain their lead versus now passing defense because they're trying to catch up to the other team?
That's a great question. I don't know that we're going to get the answer anytime soon based on how the schedule falls out. They're going to be favored in every single game up until they'll match up with the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday Night Football on November 10th. So I just think that this is a situation right now where this young group of guys is going to continue to build confidence. Now, what happens when they meet that inevitable adversity? I don't know. But I will tell you this, it's not as if they've been devoid of adversity in the early going. They had 2 starting offensive linemen out of the game against the Washington Commanders. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. They lost their number one receiver in Jaden Reed in the game. Broken clavicle and a Jones fracture. Didn't matter. Didn't matter. They still rolled them. And let me tell you something. The game, the final score, it wasn't that close. It wasn't that close. And the Packers offense left so many points out there. There
Yes,
were
sir.
2 deep shots that Jordan Love had to Matthew Golden. He missed them both. One was underthrown, one was overthrown. He missed them both. That game wasn't that close. It wasn't. The Green Bay Packers are playing with their food right now. Think about what we saw with them against the Detroit Lions offense in week 1, and then think about what the Lions did to the Chicago Bears in week 2. put up a 50-piece nugget.
Day and night, day and night.
Exactly. So it's not that the teams that the Packers have played are inferior. It's just that the Packers, from a talent standpoint, are superior to damn near everybody else in the rest of the National Football League. And I will say this, I think they're playing the best football of anyone. I will never disrespect the Philadelphia Eagles. They're the reigning defending champs for a reason. But I would say this, the Green Bay Packers have shown enough in 2 games to make them guys in Philadelphia just feel a little uncomfortable, just a little bit nervous.
Well, I feel like I know we're talking about football, but you just threw me the perfect alley oop. We had the Eagles play against the Chiefs, 2 teams that one we've seen in the Super Bowl. Last Super Bowl was a revenge Super Bowl, but
Mm-hmm.
also one team that we're kind of seeing find their kryptonite within the organization and how the Chiefs can't really get on the right footing like typical Chiefs fashion. So for you, saying what you said as Green Bay being the best team right now in the NFL, what do you think about that matchup and what did the Eagles show you that say that they can speak otherwise?
Well, I'll say this, Jalen Carter is a dog. He's an absolute dog. And you can see the difference that he made in that Eagles defense from what they did against the Dallas Cowboys in week 1 without him to what they did against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2 with him. Like the turning point in that game to me was the second half where Patrick Mahomes has got the ball in the low red zone. He's throwing it to Travis Kelce in the end zone, but he has to rush to throw. Travis Kelce doesn't have his head around, and he can't catch the ball. He bobbles it. Andrew Makuba, second-round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, picks it off and is going the other way, takes the ball out to the minus 35-yard line. The reason why that play happened like that is because Jalen Carter beat Creed Humphrey, all-pro center for the Kansas City Chiefs, like he stole something, like a drum, like a red-headed stepchild. I mean, just beat the hell out of him. And I'm just sitting here looking at it, and this guy has the talent to be the best defensive player in football. Now, you just got hurt through hearing me wax poetic about how talented Micah Parsons is. Hear me when I say Jalen Carter has the ability to be the best defensive player in all of football. Now, he ain't rap tight. He's a little bit off. I like my defensive linemen a little bit off. That makes them more violent, more physical. But I will say this, if he's on the field for the Philadelphia Eagles, it's going to be problematic for any offense, including the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, 100%. You've seen the difference of him being on the field against the Cowboys versus the Chiefs. I seen him a little gas, but content and the way people do things, they chop it up the right way. That might have been 4th quarter, 5 seconds left. I don't know, but he looked a little gas, like he was out of shape. Maybe too much spit. He's not hydrated.
There you go. There you go.
He's not hydrated. But I mean, we're seeing the Chiefs and we're seeing how they're doing. Do you think they can turn around their season? I've seen some reports about Odell Beckham. I've seen some reports about other guys coming out the woodwork to be able to be their wide receivers. What do you think, and how can they maybe pivot in the right direction for the rest of the season?
Well, here's the thing. The Chiefs have got to add, especially on the offensive end, their receivers are cheeks. Their running backs are trash. I hate talking in a disparaging way about them, but that's the reality of the situation. They don't have enough guys that can be force multipliers, that can dictate front and coverage. They don't have enough guys that can win one-on-one situations. And you see Patrick Mahomes pressing for the first time in his career, right? We're not accustomed to seeing him in this position. And typically Patrick Mahomes doesn't like to scramble, doesn't like to run a whole lot in the regular season. You get more of that in the postseason, especially in the big games, in the championship rounds. But you're seeing him do it early on because he doesn't have any other choice. The first 2 weeks of the season, Patrick Mahomes was the leading rusher for the Chiefs. There's a problem with that. And so even though they've addressed the offensive line, drafting left tackle Josh Simmons in the first round, that's only a part of the problem. They have no balance on offense. They can't run the ball. They don't have a consistent threat to win one-on-one in their receiving core. Travis Kelce is not washed, but is going that way. So at this point, Patrick Mahomes is out there by himself in terms of playmaking. And something about that has to change if the Chiefs are going to get to where we're accustomed to seeing them, which is playing for a title at the end of the season. As constituted, I don't think this team is capable of getting to the Super Bowl. I don't think this team is capable of being able to win their own division. Now, they'll get reinforcements. Xavier Worthy, he could be back for the Giants game week 3. Rashee Rice, he's going to come back off of suspension at some point late October. So they'll have guys, but I'm not sure that any one of those dudes is going to save the day when it comes to what we're seeing from this Kansas City Chiefs team. Let's remember, the Chiefs weren't good enough last year against the Philadelphia Eagles. They just weren't. And I haven't seen anything that leads me to believe that they've done enough to be able to close the gap when it comes to the upper echelon teams in the league.
I'll ask you this on your end. Knowing that the Chiefs are seeing a downfall, I think there was another team that we thought was neck and neck with them, such as the Bengals. And for those listeners, what you guys are about to tap into is our signature segment called In My Defense. I know, sounds familiar, but we want to give resident football NFL champion and analyst Chris Canty, number 99, your love and your heart, 99 in your playbooks. But we want to make sure that he gets a chance to just sound off. So can you tell these people how you feel about this Joe Burrow situation with the Bengals?
Listen, I hate Joe Burrow being out for the season. As a football fan, I love to see him out there spinning it. I think he's one of the best in the game. I think he's a top 5 quarterback, unquestioned. Now, when it comes to the conversation around Joe Burrow being elite, I struggle with that. I do. Because in this league, we got a couple of different ways to measure being an elite player. You got an all-pro, you got an MVP, or you won a Super Bowl. You got to have one of those 3 things to be considered elite. Joe Burrow ain't done none of that. And on top of that, in 3 of the 6 seasons that he's played in, he's ended up on IR. So Herm Edwards said the best thing that you can be, the best ability is availability. And too often, Joe Burrow is not available for his team. Now, I don't think all of that's on him. I do think a big portion of Joe Burrow and the injury history has to do with the Cincinnati Bengals and their inability to be able to put the requisite pieces around him to keep him protected. And that means making sure that the offensive line is buttoned up, making sure from a scheme standpoint that there's enough diversity so defenses can't tee off on your pass protection and hit your quarterback incessantly. Those are the things that the Cincinnati Bengals as an organization leave a lot to be desired, right? I mean, Joe Burrow over the last several years has spent more time in shotgun than every other team in the National Football League except for the Washington Commanders. And if you look at the Washington Commanders, how's that working out for their quarterback, Jaden Daniels, who's also dealing with a knee injury? Staying in shotgun for the majority of the snaps only makes your quarterback a sitting duck because 11 sets of eyes on the defense can see the ball at all times. There's no deception. There's no uncertainty in terms of the play that's coming at you. And for me, that's a big part of the issue. So Zach Taylor, the head coach, deserves a lot of blame for what's been happening with Joe Burrow over the last several years in dealing with these injuries. And then on top of that, the offensive line, even though the organization has tried to put resources in it, they haven't fixed it. And so they're also complicit in this. So, yeah, there is a big problem with how the Cincinnati Bengals have tried to manage Joe Burrow. It's borderline franchise malpractice. And no one can answer this question for me when it comes to Joe Burrow. What stops him from being the next in a long line of Cincinnati Bengals quarterbacks with MVP talent that can't have sustained success with that franchise? Ken Anderson, once upon a time, won an MVP, got to a Super Bowl, never got back. Boomer Esiason won an MVP, got to a Super Bowl, never got back. Carson Palmer had to freaking retire because he realized the Cincinnati Bengals wasn't going to do right by him. So what stops Joe Burrow from being the next in line of those guys? And so when we have the Joe Burrow conversation, a lot of me fading whatever Joe Burrow is capable of accomplishing is a lot less to do with Joe Burrow's talent and a lot more to do with the circumstances around him. In my defense.
Yes. No, that was perfect. I think people need to understand this. And like you said about the shotgun, Joe Burrow in 71 games was sacked 201 times. We all remember a
I
guy
don't know.
named
Is
Andrew.
that a lot? Is that a lot? Is
Oh,
being
oh, that's
sacked
a whole lot. That's a
being
whole lot.
sacked 200 times, is that a lot?
That's a whole lot. But think about it like this. We remember Andrew Luck. His offensive line couldn't hold up.
Yeah.
In the same in 83 games, he was sacked 174 times.
Wow. Wow.
So just
Wow.
look at the gap of a 83 game difference versus a 71. And you talked about that offensive line. They're not protecting him. And I would love to segue into our anchor segment, and that's loyalty. As Joe Burrow as a quarterback, and you from a former player's point of view, how much loyalty do you have with a franchise, a GM, a coaching staff that you feel like is putting you in harm's way?
Well, I don't give a damn how much loyalty you have to him. If Zach Taylor don't get this team to the playoffs, if they don't have a winning record, his ass is out of there. Point blank, period. There's no way in hell they're going to keep him around justifying being outside looking at the playoffs 3 years in a row when you got Joe freaking Burrow as your quarterback and you have arguably the best offensive skill position player in the league in Jamar Chase. That is ridiculous. If you can't get to the playoffs with them people, then that's on you, bro, not on them. And so I don't care how much loyalty Joe Burrow has to Zach Taylor. The organization is not going to be able to justify keeping him around. Here's the other thing to keep in mind about Zach Taylor. He's only got 1 year left on his contract. So even an organization that is notoriously cheap like the Cincinnati Bengals can justify cutting bait with him just because there's not a huge financial commitment. There's not a huge payout, even if he's not working for you.
Now, for you in your career, have you had a moment where you had to be in this position where you're like, listen, the franchise isn't putting me in the right position, or maybe the paper? And we talked about this on some of our pilot episodes. Don't worry, you guys. One day we're gonna release them so you can laugh when we get the rocket off the off the ground. We can see how far we came. But what, from your point of view as a player in those shoes, have you had to push back, or what did you have to do or say in those moments? Just having some loyalty issues with the franchise.
Well, I'll say this. I never really had any issues from a loyalty standpoint with the franchise. I was all about my bag. And I always thought that if I did things the right way, conducted myself with professionalism, led by example, that I would get to it. And I absolutely did. And that's one of the reasons why I was able to have longevity. The one thing I will say, and the one thing that I lament about my pro career, is not having an opportunity to see it through with the 2005 draft class with the Dallas Cowboys. I always felt like that class, if Jerry Jones would have kept that group intact, we would have had a chance to win a championship. Now, for those that are not familiar with the 2005 Dallas Cowboys draft class, let me run some names by you. Hall of Famer DeMarcus Ware was the first round pick they had. Swagoo, Marcus Spears of ESPN fame, was the second first round pick they had. Kevin Burnett, middle linebacker, was the second round pick. Cowboys didn't have a third round pick. They had two fourth round picks, though. Marion Barber was the first. I was the second. We had Rob Petiti, right tackle, get drafted in the fifth round, a safety, Justin Berrio, in the sixth round, and then, of course, Jay Ratliff in the seventh round. He was an all pro for the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. I always felt like if Jerry Jones would have kept those players around and allowed us to shape the culture for the team, that we would have got him a championship. What a lot of people don't realize is all of those players in that draft class were all team captains at their respective colleges. And so
Mm.
I always felt like we would have helped the Dallas Cowboys turn the page and get back to the championship ways. But Jerry didn't see fit to pay us out, to cash us out. I ended up leaving in free agency for greener pastures. Several other guys defected shortly thereafter. And we never had a chance to realize that potential down in Dallas. And so that is one of those things where you realize that even though you might be loyal to the soil, it doesn't necessarily mean the organization will be. And you realize pretty quickly as a player that it's a business and that they're going to make decisions that are in their best interest. And you have to do the same. So when we start talking about loyalty, even though a lot of players want to have a football home, even though everybody wants that one place that they're identified with, the one place that they can go back to after they retire, the people that you have to be loyal to aren't the ones that are writing you the checks. People that you have to be loyal to are the folks that propped you up to help get you there and to help keep you there. Your family, your friends, your loved ones, those are the folks that you got to be loyal to when it comes to this game.
Now, on another level, and you've been throwing me some of the J Kidd alley oops. I'm not even gonna lie. I wanted to talk on this part of loyalty when the organization gives up on you. We seen Tom Brady's situation. He left. He went on the greener pastures, as you said, won him a ring. We see what just happened with Micah. Now we know that's a lot more complicated. There's some things on the back end. But what happens when the organization says, you know what, you think you're worth this, you're not worth that? To me, I think loyalty is broken when typically I see myself different than you see me. Because now there comes the conflict. What happens from a player's point of view, and not only from a player's point of view, but now as an analyst, do you see when it comes to ownership and people in the franchise just giving up on a player and not wanting to pay him his worth?
Well, let me say it this way: unless you own the business, unless you're writing the checks, you're just one day to them asking you to get the fuck out. That's what it is. And that's what you need to know. And that's not just the NFL. That's every business. You're just one day closer for them telling you to get the hell out of there. That's it. And so while you're there, you do your best to do a good job. You do your best to make everybody else around you better. And you do your best to make damn sure that you're a highly employable individual. So when they tell you get the fuck out and they cancel your key card, you know what happens? You can go get a job somewhere else. That's the key.
Or you sitting here looking like Jamal Adams trying to swipe at the Jets for at the Jets facility. I don't know if you remember that when he
That
kept
part,
swiping.
I remember that. I remember that. That was a bit. That wasn't a real thing. But remember, the New York Jets shipped Jamal Adams' ass out of there too. They traded him for 2
ASAP.
first-round draft picks. Now, listen, a business is always going to do what's in the best interest of the business. It's no emotion. It's cold. It's calculated. And so you can't get mad at the players. You can only be mad at the game. But if you understand the game going in, if you have the right perspective, you're always going to be all right and you're always going to land on your feet. But make no mistake about it. When you're an employee, you don't own a damn thing when you go in that building. The only thing you own is your work in terms
Mhm.
of your reputation and how you go about your business, your overall professionalism. And as a player, I understood if I handle it the right way, yeah, it might not mean that I keep a job there for the entirety of my career, but I'll always be able to get a gig somewhere else. And that's why I was able to play in the NFL for 11 years.
And I think you just touched on something. There's a quote: where there's loyalty, there's no weapon that can be used. And what that means is, in essence, when we're tied in, we're 10 toes down, no outside people can infect this. No cancers can actually grow inside this group. We're tight, we're loyal, we know what the situation is. We go back to the 48 laws of power, never outshine the master. A little bit of that is knowing how to lean on your loyalty without diminishing yourself, but also trusting that person that's leading you in order they're going to lead you in the right direction. So I'm I think one, as a fan, I'm sorry, yeah, I don't have no loyalty. I have no team. Nobody can make fun of me on a Friday,
I don't know if how
a
I feel
Monday,
about that.
or a Tuesday.
We might have to do an NFL bachelor situation. I don't know how I feel about you not
A
having an
speed
NFL
dating?
team. Yeah, we might have to get you a team. My co-host on my ESPN radio show, shout out on Sportsmanlike, 6 to 10 a.m. on ESPN radio, Michelle Smallman, she did the NFL Bachelorette last year because her team, the Green Bay Packers, well, her team is the Green Bay Packers now, but her hometown team, the St. Louis Rams, were taken from her. They moved to LA. So she had to find a new NFL team. And so she did the NFL Bachelorette, ended up landing on the Green Bay Packers being her team. I feel like we might need to do something similar for you. We might need to do an NFL Bachelor for you so we can find you an NFL team. Because I don't know how I feel about you not having nobody to root for going through the NFL season.
I'm a players guy. So when Beast Mode left, I haven't. Oh, I'm a Lamar dude too, so I love Lamar.
Okay. All right.
But I'm a big players guy. But I'll tell you this right here: I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn, so I will always have love for the Giants and the Jets.
All right.
So you can't make
Weren't you a
fun of me.
season ticket holder for the Jets, though? I mean, you ain't let. I know you might not say that proudly, but weren't you a season ticket holder for the Jets, sir?
Yes, and I was getting my buffalo wings when I heard the air come out the arena, and I'm like, why is everybody so sad? Oh, Aaron Rodgers is on the ground after running out with the flag.
Mm.
So
So you fell into the hype too. You
Yeah,
thought Aaron Rodgers was gonna get y'all a championship too.
yeah. You know what they say? Them hosts ain't loyal. I don't think I'm loyal.
Nah,
I don't think I was
nah,
loyal. But
nah.
we gonna end this episode. Listen, at first we called it Dreams and Nightmares. I can't sing it because I ain't trying to get sued by Meek Mill. So
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
it's going to be a running joke that we going to come up with a name, and maybe we ask you followers, we ask you listeners what we should do, but we going to come up with something. But we want Canty's wins and losses of the week. So Canty is off to you. What's your wins for the week?
Oh man, I gotta go. Winner of the week, Daniel Jones, former New York Giants quarterback, first round pick, now making a home in Indianapolis with the Colts. We're starting to call him Indiana Jones. 2-0 in the early goings of the season. Beat the Denver Broncos, who was a dark horse team to get to the conference championship for a lot of people this preseason. I mean, the guy has just been absolutely phenomenal. He's been quarterbacking that offense to perfection. Him and Shane Steichen are making beautiful music. And here's the reality: the Indianapolis Colts offense has not punted in 2 games to start the NFL season. The
They don't
punter
need a
hadn't
kicker.
punted. Like,
Mm-mm,
do you know the name of the Indianapolis Colts punter?
not at
I
all.
don't either. I don't either.
It
But
ain't
guess,
McAfee.
guess what? We're not seeing him no more. That's the punter. People, if you ask people, that's probably what they would say. Pat McAfee. But I mean, nobody knows his name because nobody's seeing him on the field. He's literally stealing money because he's not working. Like, that's the reality of it. That's how good Daniel Jones has been. And the reality is that this Indianapolis Colts team was always personneled well. It just so happens that they didn't have the right sugar man. Unfortunately for our frat brother, Anthony Richardson, is not looking good for him. It feels like somewhat of an indictment on his skill level. But you look at that offensive line, Jonathan Taylor doing what he's doing, the receivers, Josh Downs, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, they're all balling out. Tyler Warren, first round pick for the Colts, balling out of his mind. The Indianapolis Colts, they're doing their thing. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, aka Lucas Oil Stadium, they're doing their thing. Daniel Jones, bigger winner for me this week.
Okay, okay. So
Oh,
for
also
me,
shout out to Daniel Jones. Went to Charlotte Latin High School, my school down in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just want to put that out there, Daniel Jones. Glad to see that you having this second act in Indy, bro.
it's good to see a resurgence. I think 2 years ago, what we seen Geno Smith. Last year, we seen Sam Darnold. This might be the third year in a row. Um, Somebody got to take an L this week. Canty, who's taking the L this week for you?
Ooh, it's got to be the Tua non-believers, right? The Miami Dolphins fans that wanted to back Tua as their star quarterback. They've got to be the ones to take the L this week, right? I mean,
Nothing but L's.
didn't get off to the best of starts the first 2 weeks. Tua throwing interceptions, the offense not clicking, Tyreek Hill sitting wide open, not getting the ball thrown in his direction. I mean,
Mm.
listen, man, it's ugly times ugly. They got their heads beat in by the Colts on the road week 1. They got smacked in the face by the New England Patriots week 2. Right now, I'm just waiting for the Miami Dolphins to wave the white flag and decide to trade off their pieces because they realize they're not going to be competitive this season. Guys like Jalen Phillips, Tyreek Hill, going to have a tremendous amount of trade value. I'd be surprised if both of those guys are on the Miami Dolphins by season's end.
We're very, very, very happy that you guys watched. We're happy we're on episode 2. We did not get canceled. Um, I did not get Canty fired from his show, so that's a
Nah,
good
not at
thing.
all. Not at
I'm
all.
still selling cheese, so we still making cheddar for cheddar, so we're winning. Thank you for watching. Canty, let them know where they can find you and let them know some things you got going on.
All right, man. You can always catch me on Chris Canty 99 on all the social media channels, and you can catch up with what I got going on a sportsmanlike weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on ESPN2, ESPNU, and ESPN's National Radio Network. Also, you can catch us on Unsportslike on Instagram, Unsports ESPN on Twitter, all of the things. We're on TikTok as well. Just holla at us. We always got some good stuff going on, great content, and yeah, man. We're off and running with this podcast. I'm excited to be doing it with you, my brother.
Same here, same here. And you guys can find me at QE_Beeman1 on all social media. But also follow us on all platforms at In My Defense Pod. Again, I say In My
That
Defense
part.
Pod.
That part. That
In
part.
My Defense Pod. We want to make sure you guys follow us to stay tapped into what we're doing in the show, some clips, some sneak peeks. Also, catch us every Friday on all your favorite streaming platforms. And if you're watching us on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit that notification button so you can stay in the loop. And at the end of the day, nothing is ever personal, but in my defense.